Conjuring 3 is on HBO Max right now. Have you seen it yet, Danny?
Unfortunately, I have seen a little bit of it. I knew we were going to talk to Jeff Bellenger today, who has the ShockDocs and The Devil Made Me Do It, which The Conjuring is based off of that.
Right. It's a documentary about the true story behind The Conjuring 3.
Right. So it came out Friday on Disney Plus, and
Discovery Plus,
and I thought I had Discovery Plus, and so I just told the remote to get it for me, and I'm sitting there with my kids,
6 and 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because I figured it's a documentary; they can watch it. Doesn't matter if it's about exorcism, right?
Sure.
It's a natural thing.
It's a real thing. It actually happens and all. You never know.
And I got into about 3 minutes of it. 3, maybe.
It doesn't take long.
And then realized it was the movie.
Yeah, that thing gets tense quick.
I just turned it off. I mean, one girl was like, "Mom, this is scary." And I was like, seems really odd.
This is weird.
I didn't know that we would be like, I thought we'd talk about what really happened. It just seems like there's no one really talking. It's like happening. Oh, thanks. So
it was the movie.
It was the real movie that I would never watch in a million years.
And it starts with an exorcism.
It sure does. It gets right to the point.
And it doesn't let up for an hour and a half. I loved it. I thought it was a great movie.
I'm sure it is. I just can't handle that stuff. So I have no intention to ever watching it.
See, and I get into stories, man. I love a good story. And those Conjuring movies are just good stories. And then after I watched The Conjuring 3, I'm looking online and there's some like spoiler alert on the headline. And I'm like, I've already seen it. It's not a spoiler to me. And I go and I read it and I'm like, wait a minute. The Conjuring movies have a timeline like the Marvel movies. They didn't come out in the order that they happened.
Why do people do that? Okay.
So there I go down the rabbit hole, and it's The Nun, and then Annabelle Creation, and then Annabelle. I mean, it's then The Conjuring. It's movie after movie. 3 movies Saturday, and 2 on Sunday. I'm not done yet, but I don't do it during the week because I won't get anything else done.
You just watched all those?
Yeah. Glad it was hot because I didn't want to go outside anyway.
And now we know why Reddy's power went out because Corey's inside just soaking up the air.
Hogging it up.
Yep.
Hogging up all the electricity. Like in Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, they had to turn on the extra power so he could watch all of his Conjuring movies. Well, I won't watch them. And I don't like, see, I just feel like the documentary won't make me jump out of my seat.
There's not a lot of jump scares in this thing, man. That's what I like about the Conjuring movies is they abandoned the jump scare a few years ago, and they just rely on just tension for an hour and a half. You're like, yeah, what's gonna happen? I will give you one little spoiler about Conjuring movies, though, if you don't mind. Anytime you see red on the screen,
yeah,
it's going down very shortly after that.
Wow.
That's just a little something I noticed in watching 100 Conjuring movies over the weekend.
Red rum.
Yeah.
I think the last scary movie I watched was Bird Box. Was that you remember how it was Sandra Bullock?
Yeah. Was that the one where they had to have the blindfold?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get into that one very much. It's kind of weird.
I got sucked in. It's like the vaccine. Sure, everybody else is doing it. I'll do it too.
So Jeff Bellenger, whatever his name is, he did the documentary that's on Discovery Plus. It came out it came out Friday or Saturday.
Friday, yeah. And he's done a few, and you'll hear him. We'll ask him about his childhood because that's what's so spooky is he kind of lived through the time and lived in the same neighborhood.
Yeah, Ed and Lorraine Warren, the paranormal folks, he met them when he was a kid.
Yeah, and it never left him.
And it never went away. He got possessed with them, I guess, or obsessed. That's what I was trying to say.
Obsessed. He got obsessed, not possessed.
So we'll talk to him coming up here in just a few minutes. You're going to want to hear it if you like horror movies. I'm just telling you that. However, if you don't like spoilers, you're SOL because we're chock full of them for the next half hour.
And I know, like you said, Hollywood makes it up, and so the real life stuff is more frightening. But for some reason, I just feel like I can handle something like this because it is true, and it's going to scare the bejesus out of me, and I'm going to be looking under my bed. But I know that your documentary is not going to have fake things jumping out at me, so I scream. Does that make sense? Like,
right, no, totally. And let me say this though, and this makes the real case more frightening. There was no satanic cult. But if there's a satanic cult, you're asking for it, right?
Right.
There was no satanic cult. These are normal people, church-going folks who got into trouble through no fault of their own, and an innocent kid was attacked. And eventually, it did end in a murder, right? Arnie Johnson went to jail for the murder of Alan Bono in February of 1981. That happened.
And then then Ed and Lorraine Warren got involved to help him get off, didn't they?
That's right. So for Ed and Lorraine Warren, this was the big one. This was their opportunity to put their life's work on trial in a court of law, to bring in priests and exorcists and demonologists and say, no, this guy was right there on ground zero the summer before when little David Glatzel was going through his possession, when he was going through exorcisms, and prove their whole life's work, prove Catholicism, prove God, prove the devil, all of that. That was their objective in the court of law, and it turned into a media circus. International news was covering it. Is this Salem of 1692, or is this the United States of America in 1981?
Has anything changed personally with you and your thoughts or feelings since meeting them at 12 years old to now?
Oh, well, I mean, this is now my life's work, right? I mean,
Right.
I've been doing paranormal stuff forever, and I know they had an influence from that young age. I think at the end of the day, I'm not trying to prove it to anybody else. I'm just trying to prove it to myself. And in full disclosure, I was raised Catholic too, and so we've got all that we've got God and the devil and angels and demons and sinners and saints and purgatory, right? There's a whole spectrum in there, and I'm still trying to figure it out to this day, and it's been decades.
We have got more with Jeff Bellenger, part 2 of our interview with ShockDocs, The Devil Made Me Do It, coming up in minutes.
Now, traffic.
Mitch Wright, Plumbing, Heating, and Air. You call, we're there. It's more than a slogan. It's a promise that help is on the way, that reliable people be there to give you options to fix your issues and get back to life.